Alrighty, hello again guys, it's been another week, and this week on my tutorials we're going to be making I guess it's like a terry cloth towel here, and using the Cloth Modifier shell, and we'll go through some of the cloth simulation properties and all these many options. It looks kind of scary, and it is kind of scary, but I have the help file open, so I will be going over those and explaining what each one does. And after that, we will go through them, and then we'll make a kind of towel like this. I really don't like the ring because it kind of scrunches up the towel a bit too much, but what I do like, here I'll show you what frame I rendered, something like that. I remember moving this around a bit, but yeah, something like that. I don't know. Something like that. 85 maybe? Yeah, probably like that. That actually looks pretty good. And we will make a towel that's kind of just crumpled down there. Maybe a towel that's on a rack or something, and stuff like that. Alright, so let's go, and I'll show you how to do materials for towels. It's pretty simple. Let's get to this. So let's go reset my scene. And yes, let's reset it. So first what we're going to do is create the towel. So we'll just make it, actually first what we're going to do, I have not done this for a while, sorry for this. First, let's set up our units. So unit setup, make sure it's just standard decimal inches. Letting you use international. Okay for that. Now under our rendering setup, or F10, go under your assign renderer, and we'll use mental array renderer for both production and material. Usually it's locked together, so that's alright. So just click these three buttons here, and you'll see mental array if it's not selected already. I have a lot of rendering engines. I just realized that. Should use view file renderer sometime. Alright, so first we're going to create a plane that is 60 inches by 30 inches. That's kind of a standard cloth towel size. And we won't worry about thickness yet. And then we will bump the length segments up to 60, with segments up to 30. I'll tell you why in a bit. Next thing that we're going to do is create the bar that our towel will fall on. And make it, let's make it about 40 inches long. And then 1 inch on each of these. So that will be our bar that our thing will stay on. And there is our kind of basic standard setup for our scene. So first what I'm going to do is go select and make a cloth modifier on these. So let's go cloth. Let's make this one like a cloth modifier. So put a cloth modifier on both of them. Actually, only put it on one actually, because it'll automatically put the other. And open up. So let's go through this cloth modifier thing. And so first, we'll go to we have our object properties. This opens up a floater window that we'll go through very well a lot. We have a cloth forces, which opens up forces and steam that you can put to it, so you can put like a wind to it and anything like that, which helps out a lot. This is your simulation. You can simulate locally, simulated damped. I don't know actually the difference between simulated locally and simulated locally damped. Let's go here. So large amount of dampening added, yeah. It's just for when sewing it together. It slows down the speed, so when you simulate when cloth comes together, it doesn't really destroy it. So a bit slower, a bit higher. This is actual simulation, so it'll actually simulate out a keyframes. If we hit it, I'll show it. And since that doesn't have, it's not, under object properties, it's not actually added to anything. The box 01 is inactive, so it's not going to simulate out anything yet. And then we got all that. Erase simulation, erase it, truncate it, it adds to it, I think. Deletes animation after the current frame, yeah. It truncates it after that. So let's say you're at frame 50, but you like the animation up to there, and then you hit truncate, and it'll delete all from 100 to 55, and then it'll keep the rest. So it truncates it off there. I don't actually know the definition of truncate. I really should look that up. I remember learning about it a long time ago. Alright, so right here, set initial state. So if we go under here again, we can set initial state. So after we do like a local simulation, which we're going to do, we'll set initial state and then simulate it from there, so we get a better simulation. Also, what you can do is simulate it out a bit, set initial state, and then resim like a flag flapping in the wind or something. It'll help out a lot. Let's go here. Lead object cache, yeah. that will just delete the simulations, all the simulation data in it. So let's think reset state resets to the original state it was before. Grab state, what did that do? Grabs the current state of the top modifier stack and adds it to, and updates the cache for the current frame. Okay, so when you simulate, let's say an example here they have here is simulate to frame 100, and you play back simulation, you see a collision object poking through the object at cloth 24. So yeah, so you'd want to grab that state where it's poking through and then kind of change it up, and then it'll automatically change that keyframe. Target state is how you want to look at the end, and then resetting target state how you want to look, and you just reset at the beginning. Create keys, again, pretty simple stuff. It creates the animation keys for the selected cloth object, and then it's collapsed to an editable mesh, and yeah, an any deformation stores vertex animation. So if you create keys, it'll automatically simulate it all out. It's much like when we use Mass Effects, it's much like simulating it, and that's what happens. It just automatically creates keys, everything comes out of a mesh, you can't really change it anymore. Mass Effects is kind of better because you can go back there even when the keys are in here, but yeah. And that's for that. Now let's go to simulation parameters. And this is determined, since cloth is done in centimeters, not in inches, determines how many centimeters are per each unit of 3ds Max in base units, because this is still done with baseless units or max generic units, etc. Since I use inches, 2.54 inches is a centimeter, so therefore 1 inch per 1 unit, that's what I have it set up for. That's usually pretty standard. Right now, the gravity is the Earth's gravity, which is -9.80. If you want to use Earth's gravity, you just click Earth, and that automatically sets to gravity. See, Earth, set back to Earth's gravity. So that just gives you a nice little baseline. There you go. Okay, step. It's the minimum size of time step and simulation takes. So right now, each simulation step is done in 0.02 of a second, which is 1/30th. I think 1/30th. No, it's not. It's here 1 second. Yeah, it must be less than the length of one frame. So what this does is it steps through each bit of frame. So it steps through each, goes 0.02 seconds forward, it simulates out something, 0.02 seconds forward, simulates out the next frame, etc., etc. You only see each 30th of a second, which would be 0.33 of a second, 0.033 of a second, but it does automatically do in 0.2. We'll change this around to get a better simulation at the end. And this is the sample, so this is how many times it simulates through. So does one simulation, does all the calculations once. If you pop it up, it'll do it twice, take an average, pop it up 3 times, take an average of that. Start frame starts at end frame, and if you want end frame in simulation. Self collision sets, what's it called? It's, do you want it to collide with itself? That's it. How should I say it? The higher the number here, the better simulation will be, but that's really it. Usually if you just turn self collision on, it'll automatically set it to 1, and set self to 1, then that's usually good enough. If you, like, I mean, we're not going to be creating an amazing flowing shirt like Assassin's Creed or something, but you know, it'll do that. Anyway, so self collision, it just takes into account when if this hits this, it'll automatically collide with it, so this is pretty on. Sewing springs we're not going to use, so I'm not going to go over those. Tension is the tension of the object, we probably won't use that. And you can weld normals or vertices. So when 2 things are attaching to each other, this is for like when you're sewing an object together, you can weld the 2, but we don't need to worry about that either. So let's get to doing this. So let's open up our object properties. And holy jeepers, we got a lot here, right? But let's go back to here. And first what we're going to do is set our box, which is right here. Our box is this thing right here. We're going to set that to a, 1 second, right there. Excuse me, we're going to set that to the base, so if, like my Mass Effects tutorial, this would be a static object, this will be the dynamic. So we'll go into our object properties, set it to be a collision object. Now, in the collision object, we will set these, should be different, we'll set these later, but, oh, that's right, because I didn't select box 01. So click on box 01, set it to collision object. These are usually pretty good. We might step up the dynamic and static friction. So depth is how deep each, I'll go over that later actually. Now let's go back to our cloth modifier. And we add objects in here. We don't add a cloth modifier to this. We add objects in here, so then it automatically instances this cloth modifier onto it. So we add the plane into here, set it to be a cloth, and we'll set it to be a cotton towel. These are many cloth presets. And you see it sets all these values for us. I'll go over the values later. It sets the cloth object, we press OK. And now we can simulate locally, see what happens. And as you can see, it kind of just folds. It kind of collides with itself, so we got to fix that up. But it folds, it looks nice, and it works. So we'll turn off simulate local, and we'll undo that. So get this back again. As well, most times you fold a cloth towel over before you fold it up. So we'll do a bit of edit poly to this before we do anything with cloth modifier. So this will pop up and say modifier exists stack change depends on topology, change parameters may have undesirable results. We'll just turn yes because we haven't done anything to the cloth modifier really yet. And we'll convert this to an editable poly. It automatically drops it down, so it doesn't really matter. Cloth modifier is off, so it really doesn't matter anyways. And we'll put a bend to it. Bend, angle of 180 along the x-axis, y-axis, and along the x-axis 90-degree angle though. Nope, that's not right. Negative 90-degree angle? That's not right. There we go. No, z-axis, x-axis. We gotta figure this out. Okay, so that's that type of bend on the x-axis. I'm trying to think now. X-axis, z-axis. Nope. No. Pretty sure it would be the x-axis. 180. Oh yeah, that would be that. So drop that, make a bend, chicken 0, angle to about, yeah, it's because of the limits effects. So we'll make an angle of 360, so it bends all the way around. However, what we want to do is not limit the effect. Go to our gizmo. No, I don't want to go to our gizmo. Enter. Yep. I gotta figure this out because it's annoying. If you change your gizmo size, it should change. There it is. Yeah. So yeah, you change your gizmo size. So you select gizmo, scale it in to about, I'd say 30%, and then our angle should be. Nah, it's totally screwing it up. So I'll delete that all out. We'll get our nice bend later. So yeah, we won't do a bend for that. What we will do is a bit of a different style on this bar right here. So I'm going to delete this out too, and we'll reset those up a bit again later. I just wanted to go over them a bit. And we'll set a few more height segments on this. No, not height segments, length segments. Width segments, there we go. I haven't done over this tutorial before like I usually do, so it might be a bit different. So bend it up, and we will bend on the x-axis at about -70. Pull this up so it doesn't clip with it before, something like that. And we just got like a nice little kind of bendy thing. And add a cloth modifier again. So there we go. Actually, what I'm going to do is collapse this to, so just go right click on collapse all, and we can convert it to editable poly. That's good enough for this. So let's add a cloth modifier to this. And under object properties, select your box, collision object, keep it the same. Select this, go back to here, object properties, select this, add objects, that, and select it to be a cloth object, the cotton preset. Press OK. And if we go simulate local, it should automatically, as you can see, kind of falls into itself, which is really nice. So you're kind of bending and everything. And now what we want to do is kind of bend it over. So what we're going to do is undo this. And, turn off simulate local. I guess it's, what's it called? What we're going to do, and then we're going to bend this editable poly over on a keyframe amount, so it folds this over on top of it. So I'll show you what I mean by that very quickly. So what we're going to do, this is not to, this is going to be deleted after, this is just get the fold proper. So we go like this, so we'll make a clone of this. Turn angle snapping by pressing the A key, turn 90 degrees. So 90. And drag it over. And this, we'll go to frame 100, turn on auto key. Drag it in like to about 15, drag it into about 0. That should be good. And all these should be still set at 0, yeah. The Z position doesn't really matter that much. And since this has cloth object, we'll go to an object properties, and we'll set voxel2 to be a collision object. Actually, we'll delete this, because that just makes a new cloth modifier. Go under object properties of this first one, and we'll add objects, we'll add both of them. Okay, add, and then our plane is our thing, so our towel, so we'll make a cotton one of that, cloth cotton. Voxel2 is our one that's going to be pulling it in, so we'll make that a collision object, press OK. And now we'll go simulate local. And that should be animating out. Ah yes, because it's simulating locally. We need to actually simulate it. So we go simulate. You can see our simulation happening. You can see this pulling it in. And totally missed it. So we'll cancel that out. What we might have to, oh, actually it's pulling it along kind of nicely, but not really working properly. So what we might have to do is undo that, delete out this, might actually have to pull in these keyframes, or kind of rotate this like that. So what we're going to do is put a bend modifier to this, and bend it more over a time. So we'll go bend, drop that down there, and in frame 100, auto key, we will have our bend on the x-axis be 180, and we'll also rotate this by 90 degrees. Make sure auto key's on and make those changes. So it'll pull it up and it'll hopefully grab it. Turn off auto key and go back to our cloth and go simulate. Simulate. For some reason it doesn't want to simulate. Should be fine. Oh, that doesn't even have anything simulated towards it, so it is simulating something. Yeah, nothing's happening because this doesn't have anything to it because we deleted it out. I undid a few too many states. So go back to our cloth modifier and go under object properties, add objects, our plane, and make cloth, preset cotton, press OK. And when we simulate, it should do something. There it goes. As you can see, it's kind of pulling the cloth over and going to slide off. That was going to be an effect that I didn't want. But it kind of looks cool. And as you can see, it's kind of going through it itself as well. So what we're going to do is turn on self-collisions. So under here, turn on self-collision, bump that up to 1, and simulate again. It should simulate. Don't know why it doesn't want to do that sometimes. Object properties, plane 01. It turns off when you turn on self-collision, I guess it turns off the preset. So cloth properties, cotton, press OK, press simulate. Really doesn't want to simulate. Okay, self-collision. Oh, I know why. Because as you can see, it was already simulated. So we're going to erase our simulation and that goes back to 1, and we're going to simulate again. There we go. So as you can see, there's simulated frames that are outputted. And as you can see, the simulation time is taking a lot longer now as well because it's self-colliding with itself. It's colliding with itself. So you can see it kind of crunching up. And slowly, hopefully, going to fold over onto itself. So we'll erase our simulation and we'll simulate local. and that doesn't take the other animation into effect. Kind of looks cool, but doesn't really work for what we want. So undo that, and let's simulate it like that. What we really want to do is fold it over all the way, so rotate it more. So we take this, and we'll erase our simulation on both of them. Make sure that's done. Yep. Then we'll take this, and we, on our bend, turn on OK again, bend it more. About, so about there. About 300, so negative 300. And as you see, it's all the way bent there now. As well as, we're going to rotate it around to 90 degrees. Another 90 degrees, so it's 180. So there is our entire animation. Our bend might have to end a bit sooner, so 50 frames we're going to make our bend to negative 300. Turn off auto key, turn this on again, and simulate. And the towel really isn't falling over onto itself, it's just kind of scrunching up. So, I don't really like that, and I'm going to undo all this. I'm going to erase my simulation. I'm going to go back to this, take all these keyframes, delete selected keyframes, and I just kind of like it when it fell down onto it. What we also could do is try to bend this, what's it called, ourselves, this editable poly. So go to edit poly, hit yes, take vertices. I was trying to get it to be simulated to do this, however it looks like we're going to have to do this. Rotate this 180, move it up about 1 inch, so you can see on my y-axis, move it up, and then move it over 15 inches. So then we get something that looks like that. And don't worry, it will automatically move it over a bit. Actually, what we're going to do, hierarchy, effect pivot only, center object, edit poly. Oh, I see what happened. We're going to have to leave this cloth modifier. Yeah. We go back there, kind of move it to the middle, like that. And now, under our object properties, add object skin to our plane, turn on cloth, set a preset to cotton, press OK, and then go simulate. And there it goes. That's much better of a towel fold. Kind of looks like a towel. Just folded and sitting there. And we're just going to wait for our simulation to go out. And I'm going to play Jeopardy's theme song in my head. Do, 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 do. And there we are. That's our towel. Nice and folded. Looks kind of nice like a towel. And that is really everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have to kind of make it, well, look like a towel. Because I mean, if you render this out, it looks poopy. So what we're going to do is do some materials, and then do a turbo smooth and stuff. So first what we're going to do is add a shell modifier to it. So find shell, wrong thing, select your plane, find the shell modifier, and an outer amount of about 0.25. Actually, what I did is an outer amount of 0.125 and an inner amount of 0.125. Because you see, even with the self-collisions, you can see them kind of intersecting each other, which you don't really want. But when you don't look at it like that, it looks perfectly fine. And what we're going to do is add a turbo smooth modifier. And there it is. Now, that still doesn't look like a towel because it's kind of, well, too smooth. So what we're going to do is put a material on it. So, I'm going to pull this up. And this is just going to be for one. I'm going to make another towel that kind of looks different here. I'm going to go to my materials and go under materials, mental ray, architecture and design. Double click on it. Set my reflectivity and glossiness down to 0. Click right here beside my color and hold in the bitmap. I'll give you the link to the bitmap I'll use in the in this one. I'm just gonna go back to where I know the bitmap is. It'll be called Cloth Views. It's from the guy's site, and he put it up on the internet, so I'm assuming it's free to use. And then yeah, there's our bitmap. And as well, we're going to, but I don't want this color of bitmap. So if we add this to it, we're going to notice two things and turn on show view report. It's kind of looking, well, wrong. It doesn't look right. Like it looks kind of too big and too terry-clothy. There's not enough noise to it as well, and there is no frickin' color to it. Like I don't want to carry color that looks like that. So first what we're going to do is set the mapping up properly. So go under our modifiers in our plane, add a UVW map, and drag it below the cloth. As you can see, above the cloth, below the cloth. Make sure it's below the cloth. This is because this, it makes a UV map of this plane right here, like this. If you put it above the cloth, it makes a UV map of this kind of looking material, which looks really wrong, and it's not all flat and perfect. So we want to make sure that the UV is added before the cloth. So there we go. We have a nice looking terry cloth, much better looking as I can see. Set it to planar, set our length and width to about 12, because that is the size of the bitmap I used. It's a even bitmap. If we open it up, it's a very square, nice tileable bitmap. So we'll use that, but I don't like the color, so and I don't like the noise. So first what we're going to do is shift drag this bitmap over, add it to our bump map slot, and there we go. And just drag over a bump map. The default settings are perfectly fine. And to delete out that, I want a different color. So what I'm going to do is under diffuse, and then drag out from diffuse, and then add a standard and add a mix. Drag this one into color 1, and in color 2, just click on here and set it to a blue material, because that's kind of what I want for my terry cloth. I kind of want a blue, a light blue terry cloth. That looks kind of purplish. I can't do blue. Okay, wait. Ooh, I like that. Lighter, perfect. And then you can still see we don't have a mix amount in there, so we'll up our mix amount to about 50. And we double click on this, you can see our new blue map. Drag and drop that on, show view report, and there we go, kind of a blue terry cloth material. So I'll go through that again. So under mix map, put in our color 1, make sure our terry cloth is connected up to color 1. And our second color is 34, 78, 179 RGB with a 50% mix amount, and make sure these are all checked. So, because if you turn it off, it doesn't mix it. Turn off color 2, it doesn't show color 2. Turn off color 1, it doesn't show color 1. Pretty simple stuff. We won't use a curve, so that's good. And under here, we'll go down, and under special effects, turn on ambient occlusion. Use color from other materials, so that makes sense. That'll use this color right here to make a better ambient occlusion over here. Samples, 32 is usually good, and max distance 4 is fine. So that'll be that. And there is our kind of a robe-like thingy. And then this, we can make a better hanger for it, but we really don't need to. Actually, let's do that. So under materials, to make a new mental ray architecture design, set a chrome. I'm going to find chrome on here. That's copper. Chrome. There we go. Drag and drop that onto the box. And then go down here, turn on special effects, turn on ambient occlusion, use color from other materials. And since it's not as big of a deal, we'll just leave the samples down to 16 again, because the main focus of this is our terry cloth. So we'll render this out. And there's our terry cloth robe. It really doesn't look that good because we don't have proper lighting, but we'll figure about that later. Next, what we're going to do is make a scrunchy towel. So to do this is quite fun. I hope it works. First, what we're going to do is take our plane again, another 60 by 30 plane, 60 by 30, and we're going to make a chair now for it to kind of be its thing to fall down on. So under our box, pull it a box anywhere in the scene, it really doesn't matter, and we'll set it to be, I don't even know how big a chair is. Let's make it 30 by 30 by 16. And we'll set this, we'll Alt-Q to isolate this, zero it out, and set all our segments to 1 because we're going to go to convert it to enable poly, and ring, select an edge, ring around it, connect it, 2 segments and pinch it out to 70. And since it's a perfect cube, it really doesn't matter. And then, like which ones you pick from, ring connect, and then this one will bring it down to about 45. So, and then we'll take our polygons up here. Just take these 3 of them, extrude them up, and extrude them up about 15 inches. Yeah, 13 inches. Nah, 10 inches look better anyways. Okay, so they default with 10 inches. Next what we'll do, so that's our chair. It's not supposed to look good, it's just supposed to give us a nice simulation for this towel. Pull this up right above our chair. So select both of them now in Alt Q. And what I want to do is kind of fold this tower over like I did before, so convert it to an oval poly. Select our vertices on this side. No, I want this side. Okay, other side actually. Select the vertices on the front of the towel, and then rotate them around again, 180 degrees, move them up, move them over. And I want to fold it once more. So select all these vertices. That wasn't perfect. Select all these vertices, rotate around, move them up, move them over, and they cut through each other. Okay, so what I have to do is do this a bit sequentially. So we'll rotate this almost 90 degrees. Move it up. Move it over. Remember, this doesn't have to be perfect because Cloth Modifier will take care of a lot of these small changes that we'll need to make to them. Now we'll rotate this one for another 90 degrees and pull it over like that. So there we go. It's kind of just folded in half twice. And we'll rotate that 90 degrees because I kind of want to just drape over the edge of the chair. And not at a perfect angle either. Kind of like that. And if we go to the top view, we can notice that that's not set up near well enough. So we want over this arm, so we do it there. Move back a bit. And we'll go to our Cloth Modifier, and now we will go over these object properties, plane, cloth, and this will be like a silky thing. And then we'll add our object, a box of 2. Should only show up because we're isolated. And that is a collision object. And let's go simulate local. So we'll close this out now. Simulate local, and we should see. Actually, I'll move these 2 back right away. And I must have pressed OK on a different thing because that surely didn't save any of my changes. I closed it. Make sure you press OK and not close. Yeah. It's a big thing to do. Plane, silk, add objects, box of 2, collision object, press OK. That saves it off, as you can see. If you close it, it doesn't save it off. So that was a stupid mistake of mine. And now go simulate local. Watch that fall down, and then hit it, and it kind of exploded. And that's not really looking that good. So we'll see what happened, and that is kind of funky. And we'll stop simulate local. So undo that, and we'll actually turn on self collision's turned on, gravity's turned on. So I don't know why that exploded so badly. Let's go under our cloth object properties, and we'll set this one to be a. What's I set to self? Yeah, let's set it to cotton again. Press OK, and then press simulate local. And that's much better. The silk one just didn't work out properly. So it's kind of just thrown over the side of the chair. And a nice little folded thing. And once we get a nice look for that, turn off simulate local. We don't need to really worry about that. And what we'll do is set this as initial state. So now that we move anywhere, it should still be there. I don't know why it's not there at any frame between 0 and 100. But when we simulate it, it should be fine. So it'll be good. Now let's press simulate, and that one's already working, but it doesn't matter because that's just the animation playing out again, because we're only simulating this one cloth object, which collision object is this, so it really doesn't matter. And you can see there's some little changes happening there, and these are the changes we want. Like, we really want it to fall nicely and perfectly. As it is, it's not perfectly, there's a dampening on it, so as you can tell it's not touching the exact chair, but we can fix that up easily with our turbo smooth and our shell. So I'm going to set this to be center object again. As you can see, we can scrub through this and it's just kind of blowing slowly. Drop that down so it hits the chair, and then we will add again shell, same values, set in, and turbo smooth. One iteration is perfectly fine. And there we go. Our editable poly, let's go back, actually close. Turn off cloth, shell, and turbo smooth. See if we have this again. We're going to add a, and again a UV map, not unwrap, UVW, just before the cloth, and put material on it. We're going to copy this over, so we still have the same kind of style of terry cloth towel, and in our mix we're going to make it red. So just kind of drag it over to red. Drag and drop that on. Show material and viewport. There we go. And got a red towel draped over that. There's a bit of screw up in here because if you go back to this, go back to our UVW map. As you can see, it's a planar map. Hold yes, yes we want to. And this doesn't work, so what we'll do is turn it to a box, and we'll make the set length to 12, height to 12, height 12. There it is. And then we turn everything back on, and there are no more screwed up textures. It's kind of just sitting there on the chair. On the chair, I'm just going to make a material and make material just a gray material. So materials, mental ray, architecture and design, and we'll set it to be a, and then that's fine, so no reflectivity or glossiness, and drag and drop that on the chair, and now we'll just set this up to render. So what we will do is have a plane, a big plane, doesn't really matter, this is just for a ground plane to have shadows and reflections off of. And we'll go like that. Pull this up a bit. Something like that. Something like that. There we go. Go into our materials. Set this to it, as well as this material. We'll double click on this material. Go up, turn on special effects, turn on ambient occlusion, use shadows from other light, and we'll make it 32 sample size. Minimize that back out. Set in a daylight system. So systems, daylight, yes. That is just saying that we're using a daylight system, so we want a daylight exposure control. And under here, we turn on MR, sun, and MR sky, and this again to say we want a sky map. Yes, we'll turn the sky map. And as you can tell, it looks much better. Under our softness of shadows, 2.5 is good. And let's press F9 and see our render. As you can see, it looks much better with a good rendering. What I'm going to do though is drop down the sky so you can actually see from the sky from when you do a worm's eye view like this. So our horizon height down to about -1 should be good enough. Yeah, there it goes perfectly. We get cloth there, towel there. Turn on F10 so you can see our render settings. And an indirect illumination, turn up your final gather position to medium or to low. Renderer, soft shadow precision, I usually use 2 with a minimum of 1 and 16 for our sample size, and a Mitchell type. This is for anti-aliasing. So it gives it a cleaner render. Press render again, let's see how that looks. And it's going to take a while to render because of the materials there. There we go, perfect. And there's our render there. As you can see, there's some nice ambient occlusion happening right on the insides of here. No light's getting to that, as well on here. There's nice ambient occlusion there. You can see it right there too with these two little things. And we'll close that off. So next what we're going to do, I kind of ran out of time to do the to go through the exact every parameter, but I'll do that sometime ever if there's another cloth tutorial you want me to do. And what we're going to do is F10, I'm going to set my render, and that will be everything. So I'm just going to set up to be HDTV, divided by 720. Kind of look at the towels again. Actually, I'm going to rotate these over so you can see it better. Let's render. And there we go. So that is our entire, that is kind of just a quick introduction to the Cloth Modifier. It's very powerful. Just started using it. I can see it being used for almost anything. Well, it is cotton and cloth and clothing and everything. Kind of looks scary, but if you just go over it nicely, it should be pretty easy. The help file is very helpful for anything that you want on it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Cheers.